Right. I take it we are ready to begin now, yes?
I certainly believe so.
Yes, let me drink some water first. I am about to, as the younger people would call, yap for a long time. Gratitude, Mitra. Assalamu alaikum. Peace and blessings be upon you, and greetings. I begin this opening of the lecture with a verse from our holy book. And as I now quote it, O ye sons of Bori, I have indeed preferred you over the worlds. So do not cast away my graces that I have instilled upon you, lest another nation comes to be the people of the righteous. And do not take the traits of the snake, for he is indeed a clear enemy for you and me. Ladies and gentlemen, sisters and brothers of the faith and of humanity, I welcome you all to this house of study and worship. And with no further ado, I will begin the talks of our lecture. As you have read, in any case, you have just decided to come without reading, which I am very much surprised and appreciated, by the way, to hear me talk. It will be a short summary of a book I have read in regards to this topic, and I have decided to make a lecture thereof. And as you have read, I have hopes that you have prepared questions for this lecture, for a better learning experience. So let us not delay and begin. Snakes, serpents, and why the natural disdain to them. Now you see, my sons, it has been a long fear, ancient, not just ancient, a primitive fear. It has been a pattern of recognition. When our ancestors lived in the caves and they banged rocks together, let's not deny that. None of us came from, our ancestors didn't come from noble houses. They were wide-shouldered and they were very strongly built. They were very crude people. But like all animals, humans too, they have this recognition. And to what you ask? To danger. Whether they really know it or not. It's just this feeling our Lord, our Creator, gave us. You know them, the EPGPs about something. So anxious, so scared. Like a first date, but without the knowledge of you'll make it out alive or become some creature's meal. We, humanity, were always plagued with fear of uncertainty. Now, how come that we develop such a fear, such a recognition? You see, some things are very much inherited. It be physical or it be mental. These are two fundamentals of inheriting through a bloodline, through descendants. And it so happened to be that all humanity, whether far or near, they all have this function. What function? The function that tells them to run away or to fight. Our ancestors had to contend with much larger creatures, much fiercer, strong creatures. They fought tooth and nail, and as a group, they made it out alive. But to know an ongoing threat is to always be prepared for it, no? Look, man, that lion is in front of you. He wants to eat you. You have your spear, jab him, he runs. This rhino is about to charge you. What are you doing standing there, you fool? Run! You ignorant, why are you standing, by God? When the threat is direct and confrontational, you have this flight or fight in you. But you know what we fear? Being taken by surprise. Enter the slithering snake. I hear it, I hear it. What is it? I don't see it. Akuna Magubu, do you hear it too? Yes, Chieftain, but I don't see it. And just before he knows it, he is bitten. and the snake has gotten away. Okay, you tricked me once. Shame on you. Next time I'll definitely get you. Hmm? But there is no next time. Unbeknownst to them, the venom has entered the person. He is to die. Soon, a painful death. Get him mauled by any lion, or impaled, may last minutes, but not a whole day worth of agony. And it is this fear that had gripped the heart of our primitive ancestors. And once they discovered the culprit, the sneaky, scaly culprit, they now were on the lookout. You can't afford being bitten. In that time, in the past, you can't afford it. It is a paranoia. I can't blame them, you can't. Imagine walking the streets of Namibia and suddenly you are bitten. It writes certain doom. This fear has much experienced by our ancestors. Both mental and physical fear. Like walking through a forest as a soldier and you don't know if there will be an ambush that night as the column walks. By God, I would prefer to be that soldier. There is always a chance of making it out alive. Now, the primitive man was armed with the knowledge of an armless, legless creature that can barely make a sound and bring him death. But bear with me when a demon mates with a human and gives birth to a hybrid of snakemen. Impossible. That's crazy. Mr. Kutus, you've lost it. But the proof is here in this island. The vaults, you all know them. Many beasts, many demons, you can name them by heart. More than the verses of our good book. They're all cursed by God. And one of those vaults are snakemen. They walk with both legs. They have both arms. And they have a scale-like body and a serpentine face with the distortion of man to it. So not only this harbinger of death in its original form deadly, but now a hybrid was created. An unholy hybrid. And who did such a thing? Other than the deity that the Stygians worship as Set. Now, quick disclaimer. I do not know all the practices by the Setites, nor I claim to be an expert in their religion. I make my claims based on observations and readings of historical records and contexts. So do not spread any of this that I tell you I'm not certain of. Do not spread it as my words. Do not spread it as absolute truths. This is a study. We are out here to get to a conclusion. This is an attempt at an understanding this natural fear and disdain we all hold towards the snake. But to move on, this cursed hybrid began to dominate over mankind. For many, many centuries, mankind was still yet primitive and were enslaved by a superior race. A race given an advantage by a demon. While from the get-go they were armed, the natural course for mankind has always been development through time and place, like the previous lecture we all had. Now, our ancestors faced a difficult challenge of these prejudiced creatures. And inheriting an already disdain from mankind, as their snake ancestors were being hunted by our ancestors, they began to enslave mankind, to make them build their cities, to be sacrifices for their rituals, to please their demon father Set. But they've forgotten something that is a very, very human nature. Observation and learning. Who was making them their cities? Them? No. Who was making their armaments? Them? Sure, it's styled after them. That's what they desired it, but who was actually making it? Who was watching how wars were being fought? But the chained man, of course. Though a man can be born into chains, you can never take the spirit of freedom in him. By God, you can never do that. Because in this world, you In this world, the chain is put on to you and not something you come out of the womb with. And thus, a human revolution, a great revolution, has taken place. And many of these snake men, they retreated to abodes they know humanity could never reach. Humanity tasted a sliver of civilization before being put into the chains. And they didn't want to face a threat like that ever again. And campaigns have been made to exterminate this abomination once and for all. No involvement of Mitra. None. The only involvement is that he armed mankind with ingenuity. He armed mankind with a desire for freedom. We haven't gotten to this part, but we soon will. Rituals. They were the ones who sacrificed others and tasted a sliver of power from the sorcery. And when some people who are not meant to know power obtain it, they get a certain taste for it. And that's the beginning of the worship of Set for humans. The beginning without a chain on them. No chain, by their own free will. And Set has never been a moral deity. Might made right. And that's self-evident for any observer, any outsider like us. And they began to take traits from their former masters. And they were being showered with what they quote as blessings. Those people are a traitorous people. Your kinsmen endured a pain for generations and just succeeded in a great revolution to topple their oppressive captors. What do? You immediately go and worship what they worship? Imitate what they do? Only a snake would do that. A snake. Yes, a snake. Not so directive. Not so confrontational. Well-hidden intention. And I think we have gone full circle, or as more fitting for the topic, the snake has finally bit its own tail. The disdain for Setites preceded, way before the official rise of Mitra and Acheron, and their downfall. Those who worshipped have been a traitor for their own kinsmen. If a religion tells you to sacrifice your own kinsmen, your own flesh and the blood, it tells you to betray them to earn a favor. This is a humiliation tactic, to see how far you really go. And this animosity was at a boiling point during the Hyborian Revolution, which was led by the prophet Epimetheus, where Mitra blessed the soldiers of Aquilon in Nimid to fight the Acronian legions and barred their demons from a knot of involvement. The Hyborians pushed south, all the way to the modern border of Shem and Koth, and they stopped. Akron was crumbling on its own from political strife, dissatisfaction, disillusionment. In modern Stygia, it still holds the worship of Set, the serpent. And it is for this reason that Mitra and Set are enemies. Set has lost his influence in majority of Hyboria and many other lands due to Mitra. And the modern day Mitrans and even non-Mitrans view Set with disdain and hatred. In Stygia, Set is a god of the pantheon, but outside, they are an elusive cult. Why a cult? Because anyone with two senses will immediately cut them down. It is like a snake growing. It is like a snake being found in your latrine or in your roof, growing and growing until it has the chance to backstab you. And worse is you won't see it coming if you don't discover it. And it is for this reason the disdain for Setites as it is to our modern day. The ration behind the story for it. But remember, not all Setites are aware of their own origin when it comes to religion. Some can be genuine good people, but it is unfortunate that they ended up being born as Stygians or as worshippers of this set. But you may wonder, if it is so disdained by natural senses, how come they are so fine with it? It is because when you are born into and you are raised to go against your every sense, every day, every hour, every minute, then you will see nothing wrong with it. Despite the sacrifices happening in front of them. Look, man, look! They're sacrificing your mother. Well, it's normal. They simply don't. They don't see anything with it. It's just normal. But now, anyways, I took many times, as the younger people would say, I kept on yapping. But to those who enjoyed the lecture and found it informative, I thank you for coming here. And I am staying here for the next 10 to 20 or even 30 minutes to receive questions regarding the subject of which we spoke of. Those wishing to ask any questions may raise their hand and choose them so that we can get to a better understanding for much more provided context.
Stick around.
Yes, please. I thank you, but do you have any question, since you yourself are representing Yok in the Pantheon of Set? It would be much informative for everyone to get a question from someone who's already in there or been there. As I do not wish to, how do you say, talk out of my own pockets. All right, if not questions, perhaps comments. Would we see what everyone had learned from tonight's, this evening's lecture?
I learned a little bit more about Set, the religion of Set, because I'm not really familiar with it. That counts.
Yes, but this is not a teaching of the religion, like I said. This is the origin of the religion for the Stygians.
Of course.
And I am sure there is much more knowledge that I have not obtained, as Stygia is very elusive for a Shemite like myself. And you, Mr. Cesar, do you have any comments?
I do not. Though I did find it enjoyable to hear of Epimetheus, and as he taught us Zingarans very much as well. For a long time the Sebaioth were worshipped as gods in Zingara, but he corrected that. Let us know that they were divine pieces of Mitria himself, not just gods on their own, but almost as children of Mitra and Mari.
Yes. Well then, if there is nothing to be said or no question held, I suppose it is time for myself to advertise for the next lecture, as I would love to have one lecture outside of religion, one lecture about civilization, one lecture religion, one lecture civilization. The next lecture, as Mr. Ferdinand had come and stepped forward, he wished to learn more about conflicts, stratagems, and the such, and I hopefully, with any books that I can get my hand on, or through memory at least, I'll write down a lecture to give examples on how wars are fought between each land, civilization, or even tribes, so that there is a better understanding for what people may face in this island. All knowledge are beneficial, but not all of them are very beneficial to whoever you want to use it against.
Mille grazie, Aludin.
Of course. Well then, if that is the case, I will still remain here, but you are all allowed to take your leave.
No, appreciate the lecture.
Aye, that certainly was very informative indeed, and I appreciate that.
Good, Joe. I believe there's someone here for be around for me, so I'm gonna go with that person.
Okay.
Don't forget your sandals.
And I have some other gifts for you as well. I do not know if you have need of them or if they would come in handy for you. But I did have a golden statue of Mari, mate of Mitria, as well as some lingering essence that you may use for faith in the shrine.
Well, I thank you. Farewell, everyone. May God's blessings be with you all.
Farewell.
Aye. Safest of travels and fairest of winds upon you and yours. Oh, that I certainly will. Received a personal invite from Dren. Oh, most assuredly.
Yeah, I will be coming on.
Well, that would end the event.